That's your question to a journalist. You want the journalist to be a soothsayer. You want the journalist to be a forecaster. And he loves that because it feeds into his ego.
Yeah, but to briefly answer your question, whether it's a conspiracy theory or not, if you have channels coming to you practically free, as some of Indians seem to imagine it is free, then, if you reduce advertising time, nobody is making money, by the way. That's not been reported here, but nobody is making money. So they're going to be very upset. There's one more thing I want to, there's no radio represented here because news is not allowed on private, on FM radio at the moment, but the court is actually now looking into the matter, and if that happens, I think they're going to have dramatic change then. It's going to be even worse than it is now, I think so.
No, Prakash, like there are certain radio channels which I listen to regularly, which I've stopped listening to at Diwali at end of the year time, because it's a song and 8 minutes of ads, a song and 8 minutes of ads. As a television professional, it's like bring in the revenue, let my salary go up. But as a viewer, it's very irritating if it's constantly being broken for ads. So it's like, I think probably like the ad rates will go up, so money will be made for that fewer minutes, but as a viewer, for a viewership experience, it's a good idea.
And you'll have more of the anchor screen.
I see no more questions, I think, so.
One point to add there, there's going to be a second set of revenue stream for the news channels. There's going to be the subscriptions. Because it's a digitization is happening, I think 2014 onwards, there's a second stream of revenue coming in terms of subscription. So, reducing ad rates to 10 minutes is not going to affect more.
Absolute last question.
We're just hoping against hope to get the subscription revenue.
Why would somebody subscribe to a news channel if all the channels are almost giving out the same news? No differentiation.
No, because if there is subscription option, things will change. That's it. I think that's all it is.
It'll improve.
The game will change then.
I said hypothetically, if everybody goes pay, if you actually cannot get news without paying for it, then you will subscribe to it.
One channel has to be different from the other.
There will be.
That is the challenge.
There will be.
That is the challenge.
I think there is a market for quality journalism in the country. It will take time, but I think it will come.
Absolute last question.
No.
No, I think you should acquaint yourself with Mr. Patel. I have one concluding line to say. I think we must all ask for, we must agree that there is a higher calling, higher purpose to news, and we must ask for a public broadcasting system of some kind. Otherwise, we will become devastated as a nation. So thank you very much. Thank you all the panelists, and thank you.
Anirban, shall we start? Ladies and gentlemen and chairs, good afternoon. There are more chairs than people around here, so I guess, I guess they'll come and, a good cup of tea. It's 1 year since mandatory digitization was introduced in India. Last year, November 1st, after a lot of hiccups and promises and the like, we had digitization being introduced in the country. In a sense, digitization was already there. There were areas in the large cities where we had digitization in various forms. Some compulsory, what is called CAS, conditional access system, and a lot of it was voluntary. A lot of people realized the benefits of digitization and went in for digitization. But on November 1st, 2012, the era of digitization was officially introduced in this country. A lot of people weren't aware of what the advantages were, but they had to go in for it because soon enough they would be having blank screens. And since then a lot has changed. We've had the first phase of digitization with some hiccups once again starting. We had the second phase of digitization coming in, so the first phase was 4 metros. One of them happened much later, 2 of them happened much later. Then we had 38 cities as part of the second phase, and now we are in the third phase of digitization. Soon enough, we'll have the entire country which will have mandatory digital broadcast of television signals, and that will decidedly make the world of information in this country dramatically different from what it is. What we have here is a session which is going to look at the broadcasting ecosystem in the digital era. As we know, as I just mentioned, that we are in this whole process of digitization. Some of the cities in the 38 cities have still not gone in for total digitization. Some of it have. We also have some amount of access of television through mobile phones, through broadband, through of course DTH, and a variety of other forms, which some of it have had success, some of it have not had success. Like HITS is going to be introduced soon. IPTV has been introduced for a while, but it has had moderate success. So a lot of it is happening. A lot of it is technology driven, and as we were discussing earlier, just before the session started, the entire media is in a sense being technology driven, and that will be the way it will be for the next few months or few years. My name is Pradyuman Maheshwari. I have here with us some of the best people in the business whom you could have to throw some light on the issue. We have here with us I'm going to start from my left, Mr. C.R. Rajgopal, who's the partner audit at Deloitte in Coimbatore. We have Mr. Srinivasan, who's co-founder, strategy and business development and marketing at Amagi Media Labs, which is a technology provider for the broadcast sector. To my extreme right is Mr. Sugato Banerjee, who's Chief Operating Officer of What's On India. To his left is Mr. Raman Kalra, Head of Media and Entertainment and Executive Director of IBM Global Services. And to my first right is Mr. K. Subramaniam, Chairman of BESIL. Now, I'm going to start off with Mr. Subramaniam because as a Government of India enterprise which was very actively involved with the entire digitization initiation, and as formerly with the official pubcaster Doordarshan, he has had a great overview of the entire process of digitization. So, Mr. Subramaniam, I'm going to ask you to first give a kind of a status report as to how digitization has been so far, and is it total? Is it not total? What were the hiccups found? And if there's one thing that you think has changed dramatically since November 1st of 2012, what it has been?
Thank you. November 1st, 2012 was the deadline for the 4 cities which were classified under the phase 1 of the digitalization. It covered Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai and Kolkata. The flow of set-top boxes was extremely good in all the 3 metros, even though Delhi and Mumbai took the lead. Calcutta followed. Chennai, there was a delay because of certain court cases on during that period. So nevertheless, this market size was around 75 lakh set-top boxes, which was pumped in during this first phase. In terms of the achievement, I don't think any other country, the globe has attained, could achieve this sort of a volume within that a shorter period. There was a tremendous pressure on all the broadcasters because the deadline was already extended once. The MSOs were under severe pressure to pump in the set-top boxes, seed them within that time. So all the stakeholders were very active during this period. So all the set-top boxes for these three metros were more or less in position, even though there was a spillover of 20% around during that period. Gradually the analog switchover was also carried out, and then over a period of time the whole signal was switched off as far as the analog is concerned in these three metros. The achievement wise was, yes, the set-top boxes were in position, the digital signals were on everywhere. But the important concept in the whole, the mandated law, what is called as a digital addressable system, wherein every set-top box need to be encrypted, and only a receiver, only a viewer can get receive an encrypted signal, was not happening in full. So that subsequently TRAI had intervened, and the MSOs were further pressurized to execute that part of the job. So that additional time periods were given to them, and then they subsequently completed that. There were two major issues which were happening during this period. One was the physical work which needs to be done. I recall those days in the October 2012 when we used to monitor, there used to be of the order of 1 lakh, some days 1.2 lakh, 1.3 lakh set-top boxes seeded per day. Seeded in the means the set-top boxes are put in position, they were wired, and then they were configured to receive the signal. So this was a humongous task which all the stakeholders did extremely well. The other corresponding issue during this period was the business models. The agreements between the broadcaster and the MSOs and the LZOs were not in position for the digital domain. So there were related issues on that one. So this also had slowed down the process of, I will not say the installation of the set-top boxes, but this slowed down the process of the encryption. Because unless these models are evolved, the MSO was not able to offer a la carte menu to the viewer, which is also becoming an integral part once the encryption is done. So that is how this first phase was on. From the lessons learned in the first phase, government was knowing better to handle the second phase of that, which covered 38 cities. Here the progress was been substantially, it was better. About 1.6 crore set-top boxes were seeded during that period. And a couple of cities are lagging, but there were about, out of 38, about 16 to 20 cities were even 100% plus, taking into account that DTH is also a digital mode of reception. So these two phases were covered till the last April. Now the third and the fourth phase, which are to come to an end by 2014 December or on. The installation of the set-top boxes is in progress, but nevertheless that pressure is now not felt to the extent which was there at the earlier period. Maybe as the deadlines come, the pressure may be felt. Still, some of the business issues are not settled. The interconnect agreements perhaps are not fully in position in many of between the stakeholders. And the encryption part is again being pursued for the second phase. So broadly we can say that yes, it has taken off, but still it is flying, it is yet to land. That's what I can say.
So, I'm going to ask you this question. In terms of the second phase, the first phase, do you think is now, we are 100% digitization, right? In Chennai and Calcutta specifically, Mumbai and Delhi were 100%?
Delhi and Mumbai are 100% done. The analogs have been switched off in full. Kolkata also, the analog has been switched off. Chennai, there is an issue, there is a court case going on by which office the decision is still to be done. So the deadlines are not met with that. Barring these three places, the analog was switched off.
How much of Chennai would be digitized as of now?
In fact, Chennai is a slightly different case. What happens is there the DTH penetration has been much higher.
Right.
So even though we say out of 100, there may be, I think, around at least 30 to 40 houses which are already covered by a digital set-top box, which is in the DTH, not in the cable TV.
Right.
So by virtue of the popular channels being available on DTH. So Chennai is slightly a different situation when we compare with the rest of the three
cities. The 38 cities, how has it been in terms of percentage? How much have we achieved and how much have we not?
Very broadly, it's almost about 95% if you put all the 38 cities added together. It should be around 95% plus as far as the set-top box in position and the analog switch off is concerned. Whereas the encryption plus the position to offer the a la carte channels is yet to happen. That is again linked with certain business issues. It's not more of technology issues as it is.
A la carte is still a bit of an issue in the phase 1 cities also.
Yeah, the CAF forms have not been given by many of the clients, many of the consumers, and in turn the SMS is not in full form in operation. Right. So this has led to the issue that this a la carte is not happening. And again, it goes back to the fact that the interconnect agreements and related agreements between the various stakeholders are not in position. That's where it stands.
Right. So Gato, your views on the ecosystem given digitization. You have a bit of a background on DTH, so I'm going to also ask you to dwell on that a bit.
Okay, I'll answer the second part first. DTH surprisingly has taken a backseat in the phase 1 and phase 2 of digitization. Understandably so, because many of the buildings which had already gone in for set-top boxes from DTH had already done so. Now the vast population in a city like Bombay, for example, you live in these matchbox houses 40 stories tall. A DTH will not go for half the houses because they don't face the satellite. So logically the cable guy would have an advantage. So digital cable has penetrated pretty strongly in Bombay and Delhi and pretty well in Calcutta as well. But in the second phase onwards, because the investment needed for population density is very different in the smaller towns. You are having individual houses, you don't have apartment blocks, which means the capex utilization, one wire need to go for miles to attain a certain population. Therefore, the cable guys are a little back. Also, the cash flows in the system have been poorer, which everybody acknowledges. While we are doing D, the as part of it is obviously left behind, which is addressable system, behind PUN. Okay, so if the cash is not there, how do I put money into seeding? So some amount of that cash flow has to get corrected for the phase 3 and phase 4 to get financed and invested upon by the cable guys. That's where DTH will probably take a much larger share. But the challenge for DTH there is in a subsidy model, your set-top box cost and your ARPUs are so low that you are going into also a low paying capability market where electricity is there only for 3 days in a month, 4 days in a month, at some odd hour in the night when irrigation pumps are working. Why will you invest in a set-top box to watch TV there? Fundamental question. So DTH by nature will have vast base in the phase 3, phase 4, but there will be poor paying basis. So it will only perpetuate the longer gestation period for path to profitability for those companies. Now coming to the second part on the ecosystem, we are seeing, being a search company, we get to kind of understand consumer behavior or the opportunity to view a little ahead before the actual consumption of the viewing take place. We are seeing a very interesting phenomenon. Wherever there is digitization taking place, we are seeing a massive increase in search requests from the long tail content in India. There are about 850, 870 approved channels, about 700 of them are functional. With the election down the corner, some more will become functional, and after election they will die. But having said that, with 700 channels, 5 years ago you didn't have a single food channel. Today you have 5 of them, and more are coming up. Similarly, lifestyle channels, there were only 1, now there are 3 or 4 of them. So the long tail content, which was not being seen in an analog environment, is today being visually the same quality as the top end GEC channels or the sports channels are. So the viewer has better choice. And he is exercising that choice, and if you see the channel rating points or the TVTs, it's now called, of the fringe channels have dramatically increased in the smaller cities because ability to view is there. So fragmentation of viewership will certainly take place as digitization increases. Also it means in the long run the complexity from the viewer angle will also increase because I was just doing simple maths. 700 channels have got half an hour slots into 2. So that's 48 programs a day, am I right? Anyone did maths in class 10? Right? How many? So 24 into 2 is? Now multiply that by 700. You're close to about 31,000. 31,000 programs are being telecast today. 60% of this is repeat. Yeah, 60% is repeat roughly. So even if you take away 60% of 31,000, you are still left with about 12,000 odd programs which are unique in a day. We will need a supercomputer in our heads to decipher what to watch and when to watch. Consequently, fragmentation of viewership opportunities will also take place. While more channels will be consumed, you will consume them for shorter time. Secondly, in this country about 850 odd million mobile phones are there. About 168 million are internet enabled phones which are actually taken internet connections from the operator, but only 83 or roughly about 9 to 10% of the total mobile population is actually active on internet. Out of that 83 million, about 32 million are smartphones or tablets. 6 million tablets are there. So these phones are huge consumers of video television content. And we are also seeing a transformation of people who have got smartphones and tablets. Their search criteria for television programs is also widening. They search differently, they search